Welcome to the Strategy Mob Podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here with Digital Dealership Solutions. Thanks for joining me another episode of Coffee with Jason. Today, I have a very special guest, Mr. Andrew Kulakowsky. Andrew, thank you. I got it. See, look at that. Woohoo!
Excellent.
Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to jam with me today.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate the opportunity to be on, man.
Hey, for everyone that's listening and watching right now and don't know who is this Andrew guy, and can you give us kind of that 2-minute origin story that is Andrew Kulakowsky?
100%, Jason. So I'm car guy turned real estate agent. Went to school at Georgian College. Everybody knows the Canadian Automotive Institute there up in Barrie. So born and raised a car guy. My grandparents and father were in the car business for pretty much their whole life. So it was kind of in my blood. Always loved the business. Went to Georgian, graduated, worked various avenues in the automotive industry, from marketing to sales to some finance. And then essentially 2.5 years ago, pulled the chute on the car business and went full steam ahead as a real estate agent in the Niagara area here as a real estate agent.
And what a pretty area to be working in, the real estate area.
Love it, man. It's great part of the country.
And what a great time to be in real estate too, right?
Yes. Things are good. The buzz in Canada, I mean, as a whole, there's a lot of talk about real estate, as you can see.
Well, you know what? The funny thing is real estate, it's just as cutthroat as the automotive industry. Like, I think of the real estate industry here in Canada, it's being so similar to the automotive industry. It's like, it's something that's very unique that exists here that doesn't exist elsewhere, is the sheer proximity of these dealerships are to each other, right? I mean, you were working, what was a Mazda dealership? No.
Various. I've been Acura. My last stint was a sales manager at a Toyota Lexus store.
Toyota Lexus store. Well, there's a perfect example, right? I mean, look, a Toyota store, I could visit 16 Toyota dealerships in a 45-minute drive. I mean, that's insane, So it's like, I kind of think of kind of real estate agents as the same. It's just like, there are so many real estate agents. I mean, there are a lot. There was just this huge influx of people getting into the business in the last, 5 to 7 years. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that probably shouldn't be in the business,
I can agree with you 100%, Jason.
But I think what it comes down to is like, how do we differentiate ourselves? I have a tendency of making up words, by the way, as I go along.
As long as it sounds good.
As long as it sounds good, I'm good with it. But no, it's like, it's equally as important to differentiate yourself as a real estate professional as an automotive professional. I think real estate salespeople in general have embraced more of that personal part than our counterparts in the automotive industry. I'm kind of curious how you've done that for yourself.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. So big thing for me when I worked in the car business as a sales professional was really my knowledge. My knowledge is really what took me to a level where, if I'm going to be, because again, it's saturated with salespeople. So when somebody comes into the store, it was like, okay, how am I going to differentiate myself? And I really just, I'm a knowledgeable car guy, and, I could think on my feet. So the big thing was, of course, I've always got that knowledge nugget in the back of my head where I need to, if someone's interested, how am I going to take it to the next level and really kind of wow them? But that being said, too, thinking on your feet, I mean, I wasn't one dimensional. I was able to think on my feet. So if, an older, an 85-year-old lady came into the store, she didn't care about the, engine displacement and whatnot. It was really just, it was the seating and the convenience. So it was really being able to think on your feet. So I really took that, that kind of that tidbit. And when I transferred my skill set into real estate, I do the same thing. But really my niche when I started in real estate was, I need to be the stats, the numbers guy, the guy that's going to provide some value to people and be a guy that he kind of knows what he's talking about. That was really the only angle I had, Jason, because I didn't have any experience. So it was like, okay, how can I say I'm the best real estate agent going? And I can't. So it was really like, okay, how am I going to provide that initial value? And it was really taking stats and building on that and putting that out in social to show people that, wow, this guy, he seems like a smart guy. I could work with this guy.
right? You're showing that you're committed to your craft, right?
Yeah.
And I think about it. I mean, look at this. We were kind of talking about Toyota, right? So let's say there's 16 Toyota dealerships in a 45-minute drive. There's, I don't know, maybe 10 to 20. So, I mean, look, I got, maybe a couple hundred salespeople I can choose from.
Yeah.
All right. How many real estate people are signed up on your local board? I'm kind of curious.
No, great question. 1,573 signed to my local board in Niagara alone. And I mean, there could be another 250 that are not signed to the local board. Toronto is something like, I think the last time I read was like 52,000 or
That's
something.
right. I heard it was over 50,000. I'm like, that's insane. I mean, it's insane. So if I'm in your area, okay, and I'm looking to purchase a house, I could potentially make that purchase or that transaction from over 1,500 people. And if I'm in Toronto, even crazier, over 50,000 people I can make that purchase with, or sell, right? It's just like, it's so insanely important to, bring that value to the customer and literally in seconds. I mean, identify why they should do business with you. I mean, look, we live in a society of people that swipe right and read nothing but headlines. Yes. So it's like, how do we express that value? Say, no, I'm the guy. There's 1,500s, but I'm the person that you should be doing this with. Again, so the big thing for me was really working my sphere of influence first, because again, that's the number one thing. You got to work your sphere of influence. So, that was the first thing, is build my database with my sphere of influence, whether it be, people from the car business, ex-colleagues, friends and family. So build my database and focus 100% really on that. My goal was to, get my first transaction, and then from there, take that first transaction and use that to my benefit and leverage it on social. So I could attract new people, and new people could see that, hey, you know what? This guy's doing something, right? But use that first connection to prove that, listen, I can do it, and I'll milk it to the very bottom last drip, Jason. Like, I mean, advertise is sold, and I pump it up across all social platforms. Anything I can, any angle I can, it's going out. And that creates awareness, right? So I think what it is, a lot of people have to realize that when we're creating attention, we're putting, our social content out there, is that, we want to create awareness around what we do, but we have to take that awareness and develop out interest. Now, how do we do this in the car business? Well, it was all an exchange of value, right? Like we had to create the perception, all right, of value in that product or that service. And in this case, it's the perception of doing business with you as a person, right? So now you have this whole sphere of people aware of what you do, right? Now, how do you take it to that next level? How do you take that awareness and turn it into legitimate interest through perceived value? Why, what are the reasons that I should do business with you versus the other 1,500 agents out there?
Yeah, no, great question. So basically what happened is, on my second transaction, third transaction, my goal was to really build an online testimonial for myself. That was the number one thing. And I did it in the car business. One of the first things, and I hate to go off course for just a second, but one of the things I did as a sales manager in sales meetings is we wanted to be, have the best Google testimonial, platform online. So when somebody Googled us, or we had the most Google reviews, we had the most positive reviews, we interacted with everybody who, gave us a review, and we harp on it. And so my first thing was, as I start to do these transactions, I need to have a plan in place to build my Google business profile with these amazing testimonials, so I can show value to people when they are searching for me, and I could advertise it. And when I give a buyer or seller my advertising package, hey, these are actual people that dealt with me, and they love me, and they're, because I work hard, and really, so I think hard work really is the key for me, Jason. I preach, I do what I preach, and I really put that out there, and that's the real deal. So really hard work for me is my number one thing, and I put it out there and I deliver.
No, look, and I think that's a fair value proposition, right? There's nothing wrong. I say it all the time. Like, people ask me, Jason, why should I work with your marketing agency than someone else's? And I'm like, well, there's many reasons, but one of those reasons is I will outwork every single one of my competition. I'm just that confident. I will,
Yes.
just 100%. You know,
Yes.
but it's one thing for us to say it. You said something earlier that I thought was really important. It's not enough just to say it. We have to actually show it. So how are you showing it? You said something about this package. I want to know what it is.
Yeah, so I have a buyer-seller package that I put together, and every time I meet a client, whether they're an actual client or they're a potential client, they have a package that has a really professional guide in there that gives us some information of who I am. That's the start of it, and then basically a roadmap of the process from start to finish of, you know, how I go about doing it. You know, again, from a selling or a buying perspective. I also put in a Google review, rate review kind of sheet that really just highlights actual photos of me with clients and sold signs and selfies, you know, with a 5-star Google logo and, you know, creating raving fans, and just so people can see I'm real. These are real people. This is legit. So I always add that in there as well. Of course, your contact information, and some recent solds as well that I've done. So it's really just a package, a takeaway package that can say, you know what, I've put some money, some thought into this. It's a takeaway. Hopefully they're going to go home, sit on their coffee table or on their dinner table, and they're going to look through it. And, you know, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be sitting on their counter. You know what I mean?
I think that's awesome. Now, you know me, I'm going to push you to actually turn that into a video instead of an actual physical piece of paper, because I'm pretty confident. I have a theory that no one actually reads. Now I say that, and there's always a comment down below. There are still people that will read. I get it. All right. But as a general society, all right, we just love reading headlines. That's it. Like, I mean, I'll read the headline and then I'm done and I move on with it, you know? But you're still hitting the mark as far as, like, I can't just tell somebody that I work hard. I can't just tell somebody that I'm committed to them. You know, it's like, I have to show them that. And I find that there are three core things why someone will ultimately choose you, right? It's the product that you have. Okay. Now I like, because you're including that. You're including some of the houses that you've sold or some of the houses that you're working on. So the product's there. All right. The person, which is you as the individual. You're including the information about you as an individual, kind of what your background is, how you kind of got started, that kind of thing, right? And then what I call, and I think probably one of the most important ones, is the operational experience. Yes. All right. What can I expect as a consumer that my experience is going to be with you as a salesperson? You know, those combination of three things are the reason why someone will ultimately do business for you. Ironically, they're actually the same three reasons why someone won't do business with you.
True.
So you're communicating these three important, you know, pieces of information through this package, which I think is awesome. Now, that's when someone is aware and they're becoming more interest. Let's talk more about, we'll go back up to the awareness side. How are you actively making people, because I understand you started with your closest sphere of people. But now, so what is the outward or outbound efforts to make more people aware of who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So what I've done is, you know, obviously when you first get started, your marketing budget is not going to be as big as, you know, it's not. Now the reality of it is 2019, it's very small. 2019 was a great year for me, a lot of hard work, and the outcome was great. So I was able to really re-inject a lot of money back into my marketing. So my plan to take it to the next level, and what I've started to do, is I've created a lot of video, marketing video content with my client, and it's more of a story-based video. It runs typically about 2 minutes, and it's not your generic testimonial where you've got your client sitting in front of you and they're saying how great I am. My goal was not to be like everybody else and have them talk about how great Andrew was, because I want it to be authentic. So what I've done is
and the value of someone consuming that, the value is not for them, the value is for you consuming it, right?
Yes.
You know, and I think that, and I know I interrupt you there for a second, but because I really want to drive that home for the automotive people that are listening right now, is that we do create this content, you know, but the problem is that we're putting out this content out there and it's for our benefit, not for the consumer's benefit. And then we wonder why they're not engaging with it. So I apologize. Please continue.
That's okay. So I've partnered with a videographer this past year, and he's more of a creator. And my goal was to get someone that was more of a creator who creates short film, rather than have your typical, you know, drone video person. There's nothing wrong with that. We still do that for our property tours, but sometimes the creative side isn't always there. So my goal was
the story is not there.
The story. exactly. So my goal was to create a story around my client's story, and everybody loves hearing about someone's story. So what I did is, I got together with my clients and I said, anyone that's, I would reach out to them and I would ask them, are you guys comfortable doing, telling your story and why you bought and why ultimately this is the end outcome and why'd you choose me? But really I want to make it about your story. So let's make it fun. Long story short, we started the series. I started back in September of 19, and I've been releasing a video every month, and they're all a little bit different. We got the story of a first-time home buyer. We've got the story of an older couple. We've got the story of an investor.
I think that's the one I saw.
You may have seen that one, yeah.
Yeah.
With a dog.
Yes,
in the video. Yes. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, they're really cool stories, and I've used that. I've leveraged that to put that out in social to really just create awareness, and that I'm doing something different. I'm being creative.
So how's the engagement going? Because I find that there are videos. Look, we put video content out there. And sometimes it's for the purpose of education, entertainment.
Yes.
And you choose kind of one or the other which way you want to go. But then you ultimately decide, do you want it just for consumption or for engagement? Yes. And I find what ends up happening is that people will put together great video content like you just described. And I've watched one for sure. We will definitely make sure we post a link here for one of those as well. Because I want people to watch it and kind of get a feel for that. Now, I'm curious though, was your goal and objective though consumption or engagement?
I would say it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
I would say it's definitely, my goal is a little bit of both, to help brand myself, my name, help brand me, create awareness, but still at the same sense, generate maybe that if someone sees it and they're maybe on the fence, and if they're looking at that video and they're thinking of relocating, could I be the guy that they maybe call now, that they can see that I can do it, and I can be really good at it. And this is the end outcome of someone that just went through that. So it was really, it was a little bit of both, Jason.
That's really cool. And everyone buys into a story before they buy into a product. Now, in this case, before anything else happens, you are the product. Yeah. You, the salesperson, you're the product, until they find the home or something like that. So then it kind of transitions. But right now, you're the product. You're what I'm buying into. Is this person going to be able to provide me the service that I'm looking for? Are they going to give me the experience I'm looking for? Are they going to, are they going to work as hard as they say they're going to? Now you actually get to document and show that. I'm curious, and I love the kind of the document kind of style to it. All right. How'd you come up with it? Like, how'd you start?
It's crazy, man. I'm obsessed with learning about my industry, and I always my wheels are always spinning, and how can I try to take it to the next level? Or what can I do different that, Agent A is doing? You know what I mean? And I watch the big guns that are worldwide, and I look at the local guys. And, I become obsessed. I'm literally obsessed with it, Jason. So I'm constantly thinking, and my thing is, if it's not going to be good enough to put out, if I don't like it, I'm not just going to put it out there. That's kind of my thing. It took me a few months to kind of think about it, look at other agents' testimonial videos, but really go, I don't want it to be about me. I'm not a big spotlight guy. I'm not my face on a billboard guy. That's just me. That's my niche. That's my style. So it's like, how can I do it? And really the idea popped in my head. I met with my creator and I said, hey, what do you think? And he's like, creating a small story, that's his strength. And that's kind of just where we roll with it. So I got some new ideas coming out. I'm working on one now. It's going to be a little bit different. You'll see it soon.
Yep.
I'm constantly thinking about different ideas, Jason, really.
Now, of course, I would push you to take that long piece and then cut it up into tidbits, multiply that by some chunks. There were some one-liners. I remember there was a one-liner in there that I thought was really funny, the single image post. I looked at it and I'm like, this is a cool piece. I can turn this into 20 pieces of content though.
Great. You know what? Good point, Jason.
I'd push you for that. Right. And I think that's where everyone, like when people out there are thinking about making content, I actually think that's a good strategy to start with, is start with a long form. Right? Whatever that long form is, if it's 2 to 5 minutes or if it's 15 to 55 minutes, just start with the long form, and then it's easy to kind of break it down from there. But I think probably the most important part of creating content to generate awareness about yourself is to create that content for the audience, not for you. I mean, like, what did we do just before we got on this podcast? We talked about who's listening. What kind of position they're in, and, it's like we crafted kind of our conversation so far up to this point about them. I mean, what we talk about today that will bring those people, value.
Absolutely, dude. I couldn't agree more. And that's the thing, provide value. We get caught up, especially as agents, we get caught up in the whole, we want to see our faces on billboards. We want to constantly hear ourselves. It's the truth, that I'm not saying it doesn't work for some people. I'm not, any form of engagement I feel is good. If it works for somebody, then great. But I feel there's almost too much of, we get caught up in that, and, you want to see your face, you want to hear your voice.
Yeah.
But again, we got to remember, we got to make it about the client, the customer. We got to make it about them, because without them, we're nothing.
Yeah. It's that little thing called ego, right?
Yeah. Ego. That's the word. That's the word.
It's a little thing that gets put out in a big world. And, it's like, and I live in Milton, and there's this one agent, and it drives me nuts because I actually want to reach out to him, because like I want to talk to him, right? His face is plastered on every single bus in town, and it's literally just his face and then his contact information. And I'm like, well, a couple things. This bus flies by me so fast. I don't know how I would ever actually be able to write down his contact information. But I'm like, what value? You have this attention, right? Yeah. Okay, I don't necessarily agree with the medium. I'm sure that the cost is outrageous, right?
It's crazy.
But regardless, it's still attention. It's like I drive by it, I see it, there's attention. But it's like I'm consuming it, and we consume content. Our whole society consumes content for one of two reasons, right? That's for education or entertainment.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this piece of creative, and I'm looking that it's content, all right? But there's no value, none. Yeah. I mean, I was like, this guy could have at least put his face on the bus and then put a joke, so that when I saw it, I laughed. And then at least that laughter would have brought me some value, in the sense that I smiled and I giggled for a few seconds, right?
Sure, I agree. Yeah.
But it's like, how do you balance out, your content to ensure that there is a good mix of both education and entertainment?
Yeah, it's a struggle. I mean, it's definitely, that's a challenge. I mean, I get anxiety if I don't post anything for 48 hours. I mean, and you're absolutely amazing at it. I do it in 30 minutes. I'm looking good. I give you credit. I don't know how you do it so fast, but it's great, and this year, one of my initiatives and one of my goals, Jason, was to make it a point to be consistent with it. Consistency. So I've streamlined some things with some autopilot things with my CRMs, and I've been able to again inject a little bit more money into those things, because I know the importance of it. But it's a struggle. It's you have to do it. We know we have to do it, and that's why if you don't post for a couple of days, I start to get a little shaky and go, But anyway.
Now that's the content strategy. I'm actually curious, because I talk to a lot of people, and I'm finding, as a whole, both industries, I think your industry even more so than the automotive industry, is that we're actually pretty good about making content. I'm thinking about those 1,500 agents that you have, on your board in your area. I would say probably a good chunk of them are creating some type of content, right? The one thing I see consistent both in automotive and in real estate is this monster lack of actually being social on social media. I think I posted about that the other day. How are you being social right now in your social efforts?
I try to engage a lot, Jason. Engage, which, small things like always responding to a testimony or a like or a high five on my posts, engaging back to people that are taking the time to do it, whether it's really sincere or it's just they want to follow. I truly try to engage back. Any shares on Facebook for my posts, it's thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I literally make it a point to engage and thank them back every single time.
So do you do a lot of private engagement? Do you like a lot of direct message, a lot of DMs? Is that where majority of your engagement's happening?
I'd say 50-50. Again, I do, but I always make sure that public, like it's out there on my public posts, making sure that I'm saying thank you. And again, the odd time, sure, I'll do a DM or something like that. But it's more public, to be honest.
See, I always find that interesting. It's just like, look, and I actually struggle with it too, right? In a world of creating content, and well, you know me, I create a crap load of content. You know, it's like I'm constantly pushing myself and having to remind myself that, you know, am I leveled out? You know, for the amount of content that I create, do I engage enough? You know, and it was a big push for us probably in the last 6 months, where I was like, as a team, I'm like, look, I love the amount of content we're putting out there. But I need us to engage higher. So it's like how we're going to do it, right? And a lot of it had to come down on me and my shoulders. So I had to work with the team, you know, to ensure that they were crafting me out actual time. Just before we got on this video, I was looking for specific hashtags that I like to follow, you know, hashtag automotive, hashtag automotive life, hashtag automotive industry, hashtag automotive marketing. Like there's just a handful of them, but it was like, I'm actively pursuing those and, you know, engaging with those people that are having those exact same conversations, right?
Sure.
And, you know, not trying to just dump my name and I'm like, oh, look at me, look what I can do. Like I had a couple of people the other day actually try to hijack my post, which I always it cracks me up. I never delete it, by the way. I never delete it. If someone tries to hijack my post, I'm pretty open. I'm pretty straight. I'm pretty blunt. But but I'm finding that we're doing a good job of creating content. But it's like we have to make sure that we engage. And I find the key to engagement is creating that routine. It's like going to the gym.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
You know, I know a lot of people will do it at night just before they go to bed. Yeah. You know, so they'll take that 35, 45 minutes and they'll just go on there and they'll actually, you know, check and see. I'm thinking for people that are in real estate right now, for me, I just use some automotive hashtag examples, but hey, well, you're in the Niagara region. So you have like tons of stuff you go. I mean, you have all the wineries, you have the falls, you have, you know, St. Catharines has got some great places. Like there's a lot of things that are going on socially in your area in the first place. You can easily jump into and start being a part of those conversations.
For sure. No, I agree with you 100%. It's, you know, a great area for it, a great area for creating content too. And it's become, you know, it's a destination. There's a lot of people moving from, you know, out of town into the Niagara area. So my goal again is try to be a gateway where you're going to find me and I'm going to be the guy that's going to help you locally since I'm born and raised in the area. I know it well. So yeah, no, you're 100%.
Okay, so I think that's key too, right? And I'm thinking this goes for the car salesman as well, is that you know it well. Right.
I absolutely do.
There's so much value in what you know.
Yes.
You know, I would push you to put a lot more of that out there, right? Like I love your document. I love the videos you're doing right now. Yeah. You know, it's just, I think there's probably a lot of what's going on up there that I just don't know about.
Sure. Yeah, no, you're right. I've actually talked to my video guy about some of that being the, you know, go to Niagara, keep pushing that agenda. So it's a thought. It's just working on it, you know, as we
you know
speak.
What, and you're in an area that is like so social worthy that it's like, I remember we did Ravine Winery. You been there?
Been there.
Great spot. Great
Love
spot.
Yep.
Right. We were on the highway. There was an accident, and we were supposed to be meeting some dealerships down in Niagara Falls area, and we weren't moving anywhere. So I was with a friend at the time, John Resurrection. Actually, he was up here from the U.S. visiting, and we just said, "What the heck? We'll pull off and we'll stop at one of the wineries and grab a drink real quick before we hit the highway again."
Yeah.
So we walk into Ravine Winery and it's like, hey, we were just shooting a podcast in the car. We'd like to finish it. Is it okay if we just finish it, you know, over here, kind of in the corner, out of the way, right? And sure enough, I love this. They were like, absolutely. In fact, the owner's here. I'm sure he would love to be a part of the conversation as well. We'll go get him.
Yeah.
I was like, are you bloody kidding me? That's all it took. It literally, like, we showed up with a camera and it was just like, he came out, it shared this amazing story of his family and how they started it. And they were just opening up. I think they have a little meat shop, like a little grocery store right next to it now or something like that.
Yeah, all farm fed.
Like artisan cheeses and stuff like that. And and he was just opening that. It was amazing to talk to him and learn that experience, right? But I was thinking for you and for yourself, man, there is just so many of those little bits of stories in your local area that it's like, it was total serendipity that we had to drive off the highway, and I was like, I actually took a wrong turn, and I meant to go right. And I went
good wrong
left,
turn,
like,
Jason.
It was the best. It was a great wrong turn. You know.
Yeah.
In fact, there you go. That's what your video should be called. It should be the wrong turn with Andrew.
Hey, that's a good idea.
But it's, you become that source, and that's where we're kind of coming back to it. I'm thinking, car people can do this exact same thing, right?
Yeah.
I always kind of make this ongoing joke that whenever I go into a new area, town I've never been to, and I want to find like the best pizza or burgers, I don't go online. I just call the local car dealership.
Yeah.
Because everybody, like at the dealership, this when we're working at the dealership.
100%.
Right? What was your go-to place when you were at the dealership? What was the go-to restaurant?
Well, we were right beside a Kelsey's and a Montana's. So, I mean, it was walk out my side door, lock up, and then literally walk in the front door of Kelsey's, right? So, yeah, spent a few days there.
You probably ate your way through the menu a couple of times, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think it's what we know. All right.
Yeah.
And it is our passion to what we do that makes us unique. And it's just how we capture that and how we put that out there.
For sure.
I'm curious about your content routine because I go back to this, and a lot of people are listening. They go, okay, I agree with this, but how do I get started? And I tell everyone how you get started is you get started by creating a routine. That's look, how do you lose 20 pounds? Just because you got the gym membership, you can have the camera, but that doesn't actually mean you're going to create content. What does your content routine look like for you?
So it's a decent routine. I would say it's like a diet. I mean, it's the same thing. It could always be better. But I always try to, Testimonial Tuesday, putting a testimonial once a week.
I like that. That's good. Yeah. So creating those consistent
posts like that, whether it be, making sure that I'm putting a couple photos of my listing out, every week, a different photo, of course, with a different caption. Recent solds, making sure that I'm putting up a sold if I have a sold, you know what I mean? Making sure that that's going up once a week. And I try to mix a little bit of personal, of course, with my business.
I'm curious about that because everyone has always asked me that. I don't know how long you've been following my content, but I don't do it. And I've been asked that question a few times now. I don't necessarily have a good answer. So I'm curious what your take is on combining kind of personal and professional life into one social strategy.
So I pick and choose, obviously, my platform. So obviously LinkedIn is strictly business for the most part. I mean, it's
keep it contextual. Okay.
Absolutely. So strictly business on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. I do a little bit of mix. And what I mean by that is, if I'm out at a charity event with some fellow people of my industry, putting a photo of me, with a group with a beer in my hand, you know what I mean? That's me. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of networking stuff. If I'm out, on the links with three buddies, obviously an appropriate photo to showing, hey, he golfs, he enjoys himself. It will always be thought about. It's never anything that's going to get me in trouble. It's always it really is that's Andrew enjoys playing sports. He enjoys, a little bit of travel, going to sports games. You'll see that on my Instagram feed. That's me. So that a little bit of a mix. The ratio, I would say if you add it up, I'm probably about 25-30% personal on there, and the rest is business. On
your Instagram?
Yeah, on my Instagram.
Are those the two networks that you're playing? I'm also curious by that too.
I'm Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, which Twitter is really on autopilot. I've got it linked, so I don't actively go on to Twitter. I'll be honest with you. I don't. I used to, but I don't now.
I'm the same. Like I put it out there. And the reason for that, and I know people are listening right now and going, oh, well, he's not actively on it. You know what though? I'm not going to be everywhere at all times, No, I got no problem with that. Like everybody knows that if they really want to get a hold of me, all right, they will LinkedIn message me and I will respond within minutes. Okay. Actually, most people now know not even to call me. They'll LinkedIn message me before they call me because I spend so much time there, right? But I do understand that, some of my audience, it's probably the same for you as well, is on Twitter. And I don't want to not be there. I mean, I think the expectation is you're probably not going to get a whole lot of engagement from me. No. But I want to respect the fact that that's the network you've chosen. So I will put the effort into being there, right?
Yes. I also do and this is one that not a lot of people are focusing enough on, in my opinion, is the Google Business Platform.
Okay.
That's huge. I mean, I feel it's huge. It's huge for me, and mine's like up to date. It's polished. All my reviews are on there, and it's my gateway it's my storefront. There you go.
That's exactly what it is.
Right. That's my storefront, Jason. Whereas before, when I used to be in the dealership, I mean, my storefront was my physical storefront. Well, leading into that, and a couple of my comments on some of your posts and how we, I think, engaged with each other was talking about, salespeople in the automotive world and being, standing there waiting for business or waiting for people to come to the front door. Where, my front door is the Google Business Profile or online, my website. That's my storefront, and there's a difference. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I put a ton of focus on that because Google likes it, and you'll see if you were to Google my name, it's there and it's polished, it's good. So that's my main focus this year.
In fact, actually, that's pretty good. In fact, now since we're talking about this, I'm actually thinking about it myself. I should probably get on ours even a little better than. They're looking at me right now going, they're like, did you just give us more work? I'm like,
I opened up a can of worms there.
But no, that's true though. I mean, Google My Business, the whole business portal for Google has evolved so much over time. And it's so hilarious because I spend so much time on it for our clients. And then of course I never really think about it for myself. So, but good point though. I mean, I think right now as a sales professional, right? We should talk a little bit about that because the word professional is a little loose lately.
It's loose,
but you can't just live on what's coming in. I mean, I'm sure your brokerage that you're working for will provide you some leads, but that's not going to be enough. And it's the same as the dealership. The dealership's going to provide you some opportunities, but it's never going to be enough. We have to commit to creating those opportunities for ourselves. And I think that is one of the biggest differences between a salesperson and a sales professional. I'm curious what your thoughts on that is.
100%. Listen, I always used to say, there's in our world, we're always gonna have managers, we're always gonna have salespeople, we're always gonna have janitors. I mean, that's just the reality. It's like professional sports. The top professionals are professionals for a reason. So that's really truly the way I look at it. We're not going to take a salesperson who, really doesn't have the ability to be anything, be a superstar. Don't try to push them to be that. But it's true. There's a lot of complacency in the industry, in both of our industries, and it drives me absolutely nuts. And one of the big things when I talk to colleagues who I used to work with, who I'm doing a lot of business with now in real estate, ironically. But something I used to harp on was that, or that I'm harping on now, I should say, sorry, is that when I left the dealership, I didn't do real estate while I was finishing my career in automotive. There was no crossover. It was, I'm pulling the plug one day and I'm starting in real estate the next day. And the big thing that I can remember was, the Monday morning starting out at home in my home office going, how am I going to do this? There's no storefront. Like I'm banging my head against the wall going like, I'm scared, but tenacity, hard work, determination. I just literally put my foot to the gas and just did everything I could to get over that. And now when I see colleagues that are salespeople and sales managers, I always remind them, guys, don't ever take for granted that big sign that you got out front here. That probably costs $50,000 for the dealership to put up. Do not take it for granted, because I'll tell you something, it's important. And then if you take that to the next level, just the fact that people walking in your door, I mean, that in general, I wish I had that now, but I don't.
I know we'd always complain about how there wasn't enough, and now that you don't have it, you're like, crap, I'd kill for it.
Man, I'll tell you something. Never, and I remind these, don't take it for granted, guys. And when you do get it, work it. Just don't take it for granted. So that's my message to a lot of the salespeople that are in the automotive business now or work in a brick and mortar, type industry.
Don't take it for advantage. Prospect your face off.
Right. Man, I'll tell you, it'll take you to the next level. It'll take a salesperson that does, 80 cars a year to 150 if you really prospect prospect, work your database. And I know
it's a
everybody hears
routine
it.
though. I know everybody hears it, but you know what it is? It's routine, right?
Yeah.
I was on a phone call earlier today with another salesperson, and I love when people reach out to me. I think people are sometimes surprised when they reach out to me. I'm like, call me right now, and I'm like on the phone with them in minutes. I'm very available. I make myself very available to people. So I got on the call with a young salesperson, really struggling, right? 1 month selling 5 cars, next month selling 12, then down to 7, and then down. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down all over the place, right? Sure. It's just the consistency of efforts. That is also another, I find a pattern with sales professionals is that they're consistent in their efforts. Now, always prospecting. I don't know. I used to do this when I first started in the business. I don't know if people still do this or not, but I kept business cards with me, and on the back of them, I was always looking for trades. I knew that there were certain cars or certain trucks that if I can bring it on trade, like I could flip that truck, I can make some good money off that truck, right? It was always like a certain package or a certain trim level or a certain year or whatever it was, right? So, and I remember early on, my wife always hated this when we'd be out because I'd have business cards in my pocket. If I ever saw a car, I'd walk right up to the car in the parking lot and I'd stick my business card in there, a little handwritten note in the back saying that, hey, amazing. I have somebody that will buy your car, right? If you're interested, you call me,
Yeah.
And it's just like, but it was a routine for me. I always kept them in my pocket, no matter where I went. If I saw a 2002, GMC Yukon drive by, I'm like, I'm going to chase it down and stick a card in the window.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic, man. It's like my industry, we buy houses. I mean, it's somewhat similar. I know sometimes people think it's a bait and switch, but no, the reality of it is, I mean, if you get a phone call or an email or text message from it, that's prospecting.
Yeah.
That's prospecting, man. Whether something comes of it or not. I mean, you know what? They're reaching out for a reason, and maybe something will form. I mean, any sniff.
It's anything, right? Now, I remember a real estate agent doing this, and I don't know if they still do it or not. If you can help me, tell me if they do or not. When you sell a house in a neighborhood, all right?
Yeah.
You send out a mailer to all the other neighbors, and they're saying, "Hey, I just sold the Smith's house. We got great money for it. If you're interested or like to have a conversation, I'd love to have an opportunity to chat with you." That's still something that happens today, right?
We call it farming. Okay. Geofarming.
There we go.
Yeah.
I don't understand why as a car dealership we couldn't do the exact same thing.
Oh,
I just know that Mr. Smith just bought a brand new, 2020 Ram 1500 limited edition from me. All right. I know his address. All right. Could I not send, is that, I don't know, is that against just, because it's a mail drop, it's not personalized. I'm trying to think that's not Castle. So it's just a drop, right?
Yeah. You know what? You're absolutely 110% right. You think of this, we as agents, we have to go, we try to prospect homeowners. Yep. Well, obviously there's a lot of homes here, but if you think about every home probably has 2 cars on average in their driveway.
Yep.
Multiply, 1 million homes, and I'm just using that number loosely, but multiply that. And really, it's never been thought about from that angle. Why couldn't you do a mailer? If you're a salesperson and you want to spend $500 and do a mailer to $15,000 home or 15,000 homes, why not? Why not? Hey, are you willing to trade your car? We're accepting trades. If you get 1 call out of it. I mean, so I agree. I think that is it. Again, it's just a creative approach. It's something different. It works.
I think it was creative, I think is the key here. We have to think outside the box. We've got to be creative. I'm curious because you've had all these connections in the automotive space. Has anybody reached out to you to actually try to collaborate together?
A little bit. Yes. A little bit.
What's the stat? I know there's a stat. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think something like over 50% of people within the first 6 months of owning a new home will also buy a new car. Has anybody reached out to you trying to work with you on this?
No, I would say not. I mean, obviously I still have people pick my brain on some marketing ideas I have or whatever, but I mean, nothing concrete like that, which again, got my wheels spinning.
Right. Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, actually, I haven't seen referral fees for you here, brother. You know how this works, right? It's like, hey, wait a second. It makes sense, right? I move into a new house. All right. But I'm still driving my 7-year-old whatever SUV. It's like, I got a new house. Let's get the new SUV that matches the new house. Like, it totally makes sense to me. And in fact, actually, I remember one of the biggest fleet deals I ever did, brokered myself, was actually to a home builder. I convinced the home builder from a marketing perspective that he could sell a home and include a brand new Dodge Grand Caravan in the purchase of the house. And he's like, I can do that. I'm like, absolutely, we can do that. Why not? I had no idea if we could do it or not. I was like, sure, we can do that. But hey, he built 72 houses. We did 68 car deals from him.
No kidding. Isn't that cool? Wow.
Well, I mean, look, it was $20,000 purchase.
Yeah.
All right. Rolled into your mortgage.
Sure.
Dude, it was pennies. Sure. Like it was legitimately pennies, I don't know, dollars, but it was dollars on the payment. All right. And people got a brand new house and a brand new minivan. And it was a great campaign. And I don't know. I'm just now, I don't think of anybody I know that actually pursues stuff like this.
Never seen it. So again, that's, you got my wheels spinning. That's a great idea. That's cool.
But at the end of the day, it's all about being creative in your prospecting efforts. And like we were saying earlier, a routine. You got to craft out that routine. Set aside that hour a day that you're going to focus, and you're going to have to self prospect for your own opportunities, because the dealership's not going to necessarily do it for you. It's no different than a brokerage. They will provide you some opportunities, but you need to create your own. Andrew, I know that's our time today, but thank you so much for jamming with me today. This was a lot of fun. For everybody that's listening or watching right now and would love to connect with you, and maybe they got a house to sell or buy.
Absolutely.
What's the best way to connect with you, Andrew?
I'm on social, Facebook, Instagram, at Andrew K Realtor, all lowercase, no spaces, no dashes. You can find me there at Andrew K Realtor. So Facebook and Insta, and then from there you can see my LinkedIn and Twitter and all that fun stuff. So
awesome. Hey, thanks again, Andrew, for jamming with me. This was so much fun.
Jason, I appreciate the opportunity, man. You have a great day.
You too.
Cool. Thanks.